Hello everyone, my name is Link from Dimension X, and welcome to Redstone 101. Last time I showed you guys some of the basics of Redstone. This time I'm going to show you some of the basic circuits that you'll use in Redstone. Let's get started. Alright, so our first one is a basic in-out circuit. Not much is going on with this. You have no redstone signal coming out. You put a redstone signal in, and one comes out. This is basically just a normal redstone line, but it is technically a circuit. I figured I would include it. Next, we have a reverse in-out circuit. Reverse in-out circuit is just the opposite of the normal in-out circuit. Redstone signal is already coming out, but when you input it, no redstone signal comes out. All in all, not that complicated, and realistically, none of these are. Next, we have the OR circuit. This is for you to flip either one of these, both of them, doesn't matter, and it'll put out a redstone circuit. Next is the NOR circuit. And if you flick either of these, it'll make it so that the redstone signal coming out turns off, opposite of the previous one. Now we're getting to the slightly complicated ones, which is the AND circuit. For this one, you need to flick both for the redstone signal to come out. These redstone torches are being powered by the blocks below and turning off. But if I turn one off, it powers this redstone dust, which powers the block beneath it, powering the redstone torch on the side, making it so even though I have the one side flicked, no redstone signal is coming out, and it works in reverse. But with both on, then it turns on. And then we have the reverse and OR circuit, which, if you haven't figured out, is if you have both of them on, you get no redstone output. But if you have both of them off, you get a or even just one of them off, you get a redstone output. And now these next two are going to be by far the most complicated, but even then, they are not that complicated. So this is known as a XOR gate, or XOR circuit. They're called both gates and circuits. I use circuits. But for the XOR circuit, it is a little different. You flick one, you get a redstone input, you get a redstone output. But if you flick both, you don't. And this is done because each one of these redstone inputs are powering a different block. Now there are redstone torches on the other side of these blocks that also turn off. And these redstone torches up here are powering this, very similar to the gates over here, the OR ones. And then there's dust that can be powered by either the torches on the first ones or on this one. And if both of these blocks are being powered, they're turning off these torches, which turns off this, which makes it so that way this block is not powered. But if you flick one of them, this torch is still being turned off because this one is powering it. But because this line isn't being powered, this torch is on, powering this redstone dust, which then gives you an output. Not too complicated, but it is very useful, and I use it quite often, truth be told. And then we have its reverse, which is the exact same thing. The only difference is at the end, the block that is being powered by these two has a redstone torch on the other side, which is then powering your output. And as you can presume, you turn one on, it turns off. Turn both on, it turns on. With both off, it will also be on. It is the exact same thing as the previous one, just with an extra block and redstone torch. And now into something that's a little different, but I felt would be good to fit in here. The comparator fade pulse extender. Now that is a lot of words, but this is not all that difficult. You have an input going into a line of comparators, which you are pulling an output from on the reverse, and then going into another line of comparators directly next to these ones. That is very important that they're right next to each other like this. That ends in a block right next to the beginning redstone dust. And this is what happens. They all power on, the light turns on, but slowly the redstone signal will begin to fade and the light will turn off. In just a moment, you can see the redstone dust getting darker, and there it goes. And this can be changed depending on how many redstone comparators you use. If you use just 2, it isn't super long. However, if the most you can use is 10, like this, and it gives you quite a long output. So, but if it does need to be longer, you can then have it so that way this then leads into another one, and so on and so forth, so far as you need. And it automatically turns itself off, so I find this one to be very useful personally. And now we are going to be getting into some of the more actual buildy type stuff. Things that are full working contraptions, but are very well to know and use. First off, we have the Etho Hopper Clock. And I know I showed you last time, but I wanted to show it again just because I find this to be such a useful contraption. I actually have used it to run many of my machines because it works as a pulse maker. And I actually have the setup that I've been using right here. This, of course, was made by Etho's Lab. I'm going to give full credit to everyone who has made these, or who I can at least track them back to. I can't promise that no one else did this before him, but he is the one that is often credited with this, so I am going to give him the credit. But this is just 2 hoppers pointing into each other, comparators on each side into blocks, with redstone dust in the cross formation, going with 2 sticky pistons and a redstone block. The redstone block powers these hoppers, turning them off so that way this one won't push, but it will be having this one push them into it. And eventually, when this one runs out, this won't receive a signal, and it'll allow the piston to go back. Now, the bit that I've added on is right here to make it so that way you can use it to give a pulse by having a observer watching this block. Once these get full like it just did, this is equal to how many items are in here, giving off a certain signal strength. And it is going into this block, which turns it on and off, the copper bulb. It's a new block, and I love it. Because we used to have major contraptions needed to do this thing's job of alternating on and off, but now we have just a single block, and it makes my life so much easier. But all it does is turn this on and off like that. And going into an observer, into another redstone line, you can have it flip a gate or do whatever you need to do in order to send it the signal to whatever you're turning on or off. And that was the Etho Hopper Clock. I highly recommend this contraption. Next, we have the Impulse Item Sorter by Impulse SV. At least he is the first I have tracked. And seeing this, I cannot confirm or deny if he did it, but I am fairly certain that he is the one that designed this. But I use this in almost all of my sorting systems. And I know that people have been using other ones, but I don't know. Call me weird. I like this one a lot. It is very simple. You just have your storage here, and then you have hoppers going into it. But this is the magic. On the top hopper that is receiving the items coming from a waterway or a chest like this, you have a comparator on a block. I highly recommend using wool. It just makes it easier. Then you go 2 redstone dust and then a third one down. Going from that block, you have a redstone repeater going into another block with a redstone torch on the other side. What all this is doing is locking this hopper. And this one, you have what I like to call filter items. And normally I name them, they're typically just sticks spelled backwards. I have no real reason for doing it this way, but I like it. But all it does is, as you can see, I have a bunch of redstone items up here. This is set for redstone dust. So the moment I put it in here, you'll see it coming from here. This number will not go, it'll go up for a moment, but will not get less than 41, because that gives a signal strength of 3, thus keeping this powered. And all the redstone dust is coming down here, which will then allow you to have a fully sorted system. And let's see. Wow. It's actually already done. I talked enough for it to get through. But it is a very simple system. And again, this was by Impulse SV. He is one of the greatest redstoners that I know. Highly recommend you check him out if you ever need help. Because while I know a lot, I am also learning a lot. But let's go check the next one. Alright, now this next one is, as far as I'm aware, given to us directly from Minecraft themselves. And this is the classic Jeb door. Now I know what you're thinking. This is just a wall with a lever on. But when I flick it, the door opens up and it is a flush door. This is great for hidden bases and the like. And what I typically do is I have the activation somewhere off to the side or away from it. And here we have a wandering trader coming through. That was not planned, but thank you for showing it, Trader Xuma. Let's see, anything good? For once, not a bad trader. I would like to have you in a survival world someday. Come visit me. But all this is 4 pistons pointing that direction, and then 4 pointing on those with the blocks on the other side. What happens is these 4 pistons activate, pushing these ones into the middle. But because these redstone blocks are already activating them, they then push their blocks out immediately. And when it turns off, because of these repeaters extending the signal length by an extra bit each time, these pistons in the middle are the first to retract before these ones even have a moment to retract, which altogether makes for a very nice, that hurt the llama, and smooth closing and opening. But again, as far as I can tell, this was given to us by Minecraft, one of their old redstone tutorial books. I actually still have mine somewhere, but I'll be honest, if they are still making these books, they used to make a bunch of tutorial books. If they still are, excuse me. If they are still making those books, I highly recommend you get them. They helped me, and I'm sure that they'll help you. But that's all that I had for you guys today. Make sure if you liked the video, give it a like, and while you're down there, hit the subscribe button. And if you're feeling up to it, leave me a comment. Tell me how you're doing. Tell me what you like about this video, and let me know if this helped you at all. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.